Yeah.
Hi, I'm Praveen.
Hi, I'm Richard Lamb, and this is a Collective Narratives quarterly sprint update for spring quarter 2022. Collective Narrative is a Cerebro application that combines storytelling and real-life context to connect community members over a distance, especially for communities in which it's hard to connect in person due to physical distances or time constraints. Cerebro uses location and time to prompt users about their daily lives, and then aggregates the community's responses to create a narrative artifact, like the one pictured below, in order to foster a stronger sense of community. After examining previous work in collective narrative, an important desired user outcome we've seen is the need to promote feelings of connectedness, specifically validation via shared reflection and understanding each other's perspectives on the emotional journey that in this case is finals. And the following are user quotes from previous studies to show that this desired user outcome is indeed important. And while existing collective narrative achieves this goal with moderate success, given the user feedback, we argue that the narrative artifact, as pictured on the right, reads like a wall of traditional social media posts and doesn't make it obvious enough to the users that shared reflection is happening. Moreover, these feelings of connectedness stem from the relatability of the posts themselves, as they do in traditional social media, and not the shared context of the users. What do we mean by this? To illustrate this pain point, we consider CAST, a context-aware collaborative storytelling platform that ties real-world locations to fictional settings in order to give the user's everyday context narrative significance. For example, a cafe in users' everyday lives may be transformed into an important setting for a murder mystery case. This makes what might otherwise just be a regular cafe narratively interesting to the user. However, it's not obvious how such a mechanism is feasible for non-fictional narratives, simply because there's no fictional storyline to tie the real-world locations to. As such, existing collective narrative prompts need stronger grounding in the ideas, thoughts, and emotions that users might reasonably be experiencing given their context affordances in the moment, if we aim to promote connectedness through that shared context. To solve this problem, we introduced two key characteristics to our design. The first of which are prompts that better leverage context awareness. And these are prompts that can be better answered in the moment because they utilize the fact that certain contexts may make users more acutely aware of different aspects of their identity. For example, if I'm studying late at night in the library, I can reasonably expect to feel exhausted. And so the prompt listed here might be able to get at that feeling for everybody in that shared context. And the next characteristic in our design are parallel structuring of prompts and the answers, which consists of one identical question stem and a slideshow of all the users' different answers. And this really helps to emphasize that the community members are grappling with the same topic related to the narrative, but it also highlights the diversity in perspectives. And to come up with this design, we drew inspiration from collective art projects such as Before I Die, as pictured on the right.
Old collective narrative prompts might ask users about their day or whether they are thriving or surviving. But as we can see, the responses can be quite unrelated, even though they are both under thriving. For example, one person is talking about studying at the library, while another person is at the Lakeville. And without a common structure, the commonalities that these users might share may be a little bit unclear. With our proposed design, we provided a structure that would give everyone a common experience for everyone to reflect on, which may help with feelings of connectedness and reflections on the shared topic. So users want to be able to understand and learn more and feel validated by the perspectives from members of their community on ideas that are relevant to their common experiences. Upon achieving this desired outcome, users should feel more like a part of the community and that they belong than they previously felt. As existing solutions have tried to help with Existing solutions may help with finding a sense of belonging, but some of them, such as collective narrative, may fail to emphasize shared reflection on the context itself Apps like Be Real may lack a narrative scaffolding, and traditional social media platforms tend to lack capacity for exclusive togetherness based on more specific, multifaceted shared context. For example, Facebook groups may be a place for Northwestern students to find each other, but in terms of that actual shared context of being at the library and struggles during final is lacking. As such, we felt like parallel structuring and well-designed contextual prompts will help people and help them reflect and bond over their shared experiences. This quarter, we were able to successfully deploy our application to Heroku. All we did was pretty much just had a prompt during the night, which captured the struggle that students faced during final season. And the results of these prompts would be a slideshow of responses. For example, if we look at this template, we'll notice that there are two responses that are alternating between studying at night, allowing participants to share these reflections with each other.
To get a better understanding of our idea, we decided to conduct a lo-fi initial user test to answer the following questions. Do parallel structured prompts make users more aware that they are grappling with the same questions and feelings as their community members? And what are good qualities of a prompt that effectively leverage a user's context to facilitate shared in the moment reflection? The methodology for our lo-fi studies is as follows. So we will recruit 10 studies at Mud Library during finals week and prompt them to answer questions that are fill in the blank as pictured below. And then we'll send out a post-study survey and aggregate and analyze their responses to that survey. The evaluation questions are as follows.
And although users have yet to respond to the post survey, we found that most self-disclosures did not reveal too much about the person. But while some users reacted and remarked at other submissions, it seemed to be because the submissions themselves were notable and not because there was some understanding of or engagement with the community's varied perspectives. And while it is difficult to really understand these prompts and these responses and people's responses to that, we hope that the post-survey feedback will give us greater insight. So as you can see here, there are various artifacts that people answer to with text boxes pretty much. And what we might notice here is that for the most part, people gave short responses. There were some examples of more self-disclosing prompts, but these were rare and may not have anything to do with the parallel prompts themselves. So this is something that we'll need to look more into and take more into account as we move forward. So some of the limitations that we found from this study pretty much just had to do with how the design of the study may have made it such that people were eager to provide an easier answer to receive their $5 Amazon gift card as opposed to responding genuinely. They also may have felt pressured to answer more quickly, given the fact that we were hovering over them, which may not have happened if they were just answering a prompt from an app. There is also a lack of an understanding of the prompt, specifically the meaning of the word grappling, which came up in our prompts. And this is good for us to know in the future when we conduct our future studies. Things we want to do pretty much include running more formal studies on the deployed version of our Cerebro application, as well as better articulating what makes our solution conceptually novel and technologically interesting. And pretty much we also want to discover and just find more interesting ways to better leverage the technology, which we're sure we'll find more with time, and design more of these new features to achieve the desired user outcomes.
Overall, during this quarter, we learned to think more practically and skeptically when building design arguments and making assumptions about the user's potential responses. We also learned how to justify and get specific about the user outcomes we intend to achieve. And finally, we learned to work towards bridging our understanding of the practical problem with what makes our solution conceptually interesting. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to our presentation.
I'm gonna stop the recording.
That was